Guys, welcome down to another 5-tip golf course video. As you can see, it's not warmed up, woolly hat, snood, hoodie is on, although it's a beautiful day here on the southwest coast of the UK. I'm going to be talking through 5 specialist shots today, and what a better way to start a video than hitting a tee shot on purpose into the trees. This one's going to be tasty. Right, so first shot we're left with is going to be 175 yards to the middle of the green. Now where this flag is, it's quite far back, it's downwind and it's downhill, so it's technically playing shorter, but I'm coming out of rough, so it could even play even shorter again, because if I do get a flyer, it comes out with less spin, the ball is just going to fly, literally. So I don't mind even leaving this slightly short of the green, because I've got overhanging branches in the way. I can't go straight at the flag. I normally hit a draw, so I normally aim to the right of the target and draw the ball back. The best position I can aim here without hitting a single tree is left edge of the green. All right, so the chances are I'm going to miss this ball left side of the green. Well, best chance is missing it left side of the green. Realistically, missing it 5 to 10 yards left of the green. So I want to leave it short, because if I hit this pin high, it's going to be almost impossible to get up and down, because I'm massively short-sided myself. What I've done is I've gone down a club. So normally from this distance, downhill, downwind from 175, I'm going to hit an 8-iron. Well, 8-iron for me is a 165 club, but I've gone down to a 9 for 2 reasons. If I do get a bit of a flyer, and the wind does play a huge role, and it is obviously downhill, and I get this pin high left, I've got no chance of par. But if I leave it short left, then I've got a longer chip up the green, which should be a little bit easier. This type of shot, I've got to put the ball position right in the middle of the stance. I tend to stand a little bit closer to the golf ball than normal, so I don't stand with my arms out and away from my body and my hands under my head and away from my shoulders. I get a little bit more on top, because what we're trying to do is trying to make sure the club starts to work downwards, so we get that angle of attack. We don't want to lose angle of attack, and I see this a lot of golfers, they don't adapt to the type of shot. We're hitting from rough, so we've got to hit down on the golf ball, maybe a little bit more than we'd normally like to with this club. But what it's going to help you do, it's going to help you get the strike, it's going to help you get ball first. So that's the key. Get a little bit closer, weight into the left side, so put the left hip over the left foot for right-handed golfers, and make sure you get that clean connection. And that's finished just short left of the green. Even got a good shot. I literally couldn't have placed this any better than what I tried to describe. Even got a good shot from someone I'm letting through here on the course. Now this is definitely a specialist shot, and it's not a shot that I'm actually very good at all. The 8-iron chip and run is the least scary shot of the options. Obviously you could go with I would actually normally still grab a sand wedge here and try and fly it about 3/4 of the way, maybe a bit further with a bit of check and release. Greens are very, very soft, as you'd expect with the weather that we do get in the UK in winter. It's a 2-tier green, and now I know this green really well. It slopes massively from right to left. So when you're using this type of club, still imagine it as a putter in regards to how you approach it. Like still try and read the green, still try and think about, is it going uphill, downhill, right to left to right. So that's a huge aspect of this shot. Now, a lot of golfers I've taught in the past often can say, I'll just literally play it like a putter. Now, I don't teach that, purely because the angle of attack of the club into the golf ball becomes a little bit too shallow. They keep the club too low to the ground on the way back like a putter. And if you come up even a couple of millimeters, you thin it across the other side of the green. Now actually, by thinning this type of shot, it's not the worst in the world, because you've not hit it with much power, so it's not going to fly over the other side anyway. But I would still like to see a little bit of height in the club head, just so you can just drop the club down into the back of the ball. You get that little bit of flight, you still get a tiny bit of spin, but obviously you get more of the release and what we're looking for. The quality of this shot depends on how well you strike it, just like any other club you hit. If you try and play this as that kind of putter style, then it becomes very easy to fat and thin it. Obviously you get the same issues with this, you can still fat and thin it, but the for me, the percentages, the chances of fatting and thinning in comparison are much lower. So we're going to get straight into the technique. I'd put the ball position middle of my stance. Very minimal hip turn, more hip turn going through the shot as opposed to coming away on the backswing. So keep your lower body relatively still for the backswing, and you just allow, I just allow my wrist just to get a little bit softer. Just allow the club head just to kind of work upwards as I come back. Let it just kind of brush into the ground. I want to try and feel that the leading edge of the club is just sliding across the ground, all right? I want to try and land this about a third of the way, maybe a little bit longer than I would land it in the summer, because obviously the greens are not going to be running anywhere near as fast as summer. I'm aiming it a good bit right of the hole. You can just see how as it starts to kind of break. I've not quite hit it hard enough. It's cut a really soft first bounce. It's on the green, and I've got a putt for par, albeit from a little bit too far away. But you could get the general gist. The strike was perfect. Hadn't hit it hard enough. But if you're a higher handicapper, then straight away from this sort of range, you're guaranteed your bogey, which, let's be fair, at the end of the day, nothing wrong with that at all. You're playing to your handicap, and there are going to be other chances during the round to make up the shots as well. Right, we're going to get to the next hole. We're going to be talking about shot shaping. So I'm going to be hitting a draw, I hope, with a driver. Okay, one of the hardest shots in golf, drawing the driver, especially in this day and age. Drawing a driver has just got so much more difficult. You see a lot of the tour pros actually just hitting a lot of fades, and that does seem to be, from what I can gather, without any specific stats, the general shot shape of choice for a lot of the players. But let's talk about how to do it. I think first of all, what is very important is tee height. Golfers that try and purposely hit fades generally tee the ball lower. So one of the things you've got to make sure is that you're not teeing the ball lower than normal. You're going to get a nice high tee with half of the ball towering itself over the top of the driver. Angle of attack always important on this type of shot as well. You want to make sure you're hitting up on the ball. Hitting down on the ball will encourage more left to right shape in general as well. So we've got to try and make sure that those two elements are under our control. A lot of the time when you see TrackMan numbers for people that are hitting draws, it still says the club path is at -1 or -2, and that is generally because of the time of where the base of the golf ball is being hit in the golf swing. It's so much further forward in your stance. You're hitting up on the ball, you'll tend to see the swing path moving left. So I wouldn't be too worried about that, what you see on TrackMan. Sometimes swing direction in particular on TrackMan is a better help and aid for drawing the ball. But the couple of points that I do when I'm trying to draw the golf ball is I aim myself down the right side. So in this instance, I'm going to aim down the right rough. I'm going to set it as if it's a straight shot. And then what I'm going to try and do is just reposition the face, just so it's a little bit more down the center of the fairway. So if anything, now the club face is slightly closed to my setup. So I've got my whole body aiming down the right side. I've got the club face ever so slightly closed, aiming down the center of the fairway. And I want to try and make sure that I'm able to stay behind the golf ball. I want to feel like I'm really hitting up on the golf ball. So I'm going to feel like my head actually moves back towards my trail leg. Also, what I want you to try and do, and this is a great way of making this into a drill at the driving range, is actually just hit shots off your trail leg. It's going to really help you with your angle of attack. It's going to help you with your rotation and spine tilt through impact, okay? So that's a really good drill for driver in particular, for any shot really. But in this one in particular, just trying to stay back on the right side, get the club face down the center of the fairway, get the body and the feet aiming a bit more down the right side. For me now, I feel like I'm closed. So, because I feel like I'm closed, I know that a closed setup or a closed club face to body is going to encourage the ball to move left for me. So I give myself the peace of mind that there's a very good chance that this will draw because I've set up for it. There's obviously making sure I've got the angle of attack correct and my body weight correct. And I've also make sure that as well I work the face. I don't really get on board with just trying to swing your normal swing. You do have to manipulate the club face a little bit. The club face has to be rotating closed through impact relative to the swing path being a little bit more out to the right of target. My bad shot, as you may have seen in previous vlogs, is me hitting a bit of a hook, because sometimes when I'm trying it, I overdo it. This one is going straight back into the breeze, so that's not easy either. Right, ball position's forward in my stance, club face is slightly closed in my body. I'm going to feel like my weight and my head stay over my trail foot as I rotate through. Oh, I've just absolutely nailed it. I need to talk myself through that tee shot on every tee. It might take me 6 hours to get round, but if it produces shots like that, I'm sold. Guys, try it, it works. Right, shot number 4 in today's video. You can tell I'm quite a lot higher than you right now. It's because I am on an upslope, or you're on a downslope to me. This is one of the scariest, one of the hardest shots that we all have to face as a right-handed golfer, or any golfer. Ball below the feet is an absolute brute. Left to right slope, ball is below the level of my feet, so we're probably a good couple of inches below the level at this point. This often tends to cause the ball to move from left to right, but in doing so, or how doing so, because the body weight tends to push to the toes. When the body weight pushes to the toes, it limits the body's rotation. If we limit the body's rotation, we end up with a swing path that's a little bit more out to in. There's a lot of issues that can come from this. A lot of golfers actually end up kind of having the S words off this sort of lie, the shanks, because you get too much on the outside of the golf ball when you're not used to it. A lot of golfers then will even try and fight against the slope, try and keep the club a lot more on the inside, and in doing so really struggle to square the face up, and again hit El Hosel and off to the right hand side it goes for right-handed golfers. What I tend to do for this shot is play with it. So I know that when I swing the golf club back, my flexibility is going to be a little bit limited because the earth's behind me. So it's harder for me to turn into the ground. So what I try and tend to do is get a little bit close to the golf ball, stoop the posture over the golf ball a little bit more, push my weight a little bit more into my left side, so I'm really focused on the quality of strike as I come into the golf ball. Allow for the fact that I'm not going to be able to move as fast or rotate as powerful as normal, so take an extra club. So normally I'd hit at 6 iron from where I am. I've got a 5 iron in this case. I'm setting up just left of the flag, although the flag is at the left side of the green, so I'm not going too far left. So I know I've got plenty of room to the right. I'm a little bit close to the ball as usual. you'll notice I've actually gripped down on the club. A lot of tips you'll see in the past, it says grip the club as far up as possible because the ball's further away than normal. But what I would personally do is get myself more over the golf ball, get closer to the golf ball, more on top. I'm sat to this as if it was an 8 iron rather than a 5 iron. Ball position, 5 iron position, so just forward of centre. Weight just into my left side. Understanding the fact I'm not going to be able to rotate as well, just allow that fade. Oh, that was so pure. Oh, just hit that. Perfect. Dog is like a horse. Came running towards me. A Doberman just ran towards me. Scary as hell those dogs. Not a dog person, me. My God. Heart was in my mouth for a second there. Just in case anybody wanted to know the outcome of that shot. There it is. Right, next up, flop shot. Right, you've short-sided yourself, downhill lie from the rough. You're expecting maximum rollout. What is the first thing that you can do to prevent maximum rollout? Okay, correct answer. I heard you all screaming, more loft, more loft, more loft, more loft. So if I hit a conventional chip shot, downhill, actually downwind as well, landing on a downslope towards a flag that is pretty close to me, I'm going to roll this quite a long way past. Counteract it with more loft, okay? Now you don't need to go full Mickelson-esque flop shot, but we're going to, okay? Because we want to try and make sure this ball goes up and lands at the landing apex is as vertical as possible, so we prevent as much rollout as we possibly can. Okay, so first thing I'm going to try and do, I'm going to grab the face, and I'm going to open it, okay? And I'm actually going to position the golf ball more towards the heel rather than the center of the club, because as we want the club effectively to work more out to in, okay? When I see the club working more out to in, we tend to get a little bit more toe side. So we're going to open the face, put the ball a little bit more towards the heel. Now, not into shank territory, literally a couple of millimeters towards the heel, okay? I'm going to weaken the grip, so I'm going to put my trail hand, not my glove hand, more over the top of the club, because what that makes the trail hand do, it helps me open the face, it helps me maintain an open face. If you've got a strong grip, your natural instinct, whether you try and stop this or not, is to move your arm back to a natural position which closes the face, which is the opposite of what we want to do for this shot. So we're going to weaken the trail hand, going to get the club face slightly open, slightly more towards the heel, and I'm just going to try and fold my trail arm, okay? So I'm just going to allow it to work upwards. There's a little bit of rotation in there, but it's not massive, okay? I've not got my full turn of my body, okay? So I'm just going to work my arms upwards, okay? And then as they work down, as they get to about here, this is when I'm going to allow my lower body to rotate through. So, okay, so the lower body rotation is slightly more delayed than your normal golf shot. All right, so slightly towards the heel, open face, weaker trail hand, pick the club up. Oh yeah. And it basically landed too soft. Honestly, it was honestly just too good. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please do subscribe to the channel, follow me on my social media platforms. If you're enjoying this type of content, I will bring you much more. But I hope you've enjoyed this video, whatever, and I'll see you next time.